at the moment. I should
yeah.
be looking at my screen. I'm based in Sydney at the moment, but I'm supposed to be in Tasmania. But the borders are closed, so I've been in Sydney now for months.
Oh my God, that's bad. And no idea when you'll be going back.
No, but it doesn't matter. You know, I'll always make lemonade out of my lemons.
Okay. No, but this is actually, a pandemic has taught us a lot of things. So many things we take it for granted, right?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now, I'm concerned that you can't see my video.
No, I can. No, I'm able to see you now.
Oh, you can. Oh, good.
Yeah, I can.
Good.
I can see
you can see that I'm actually. You can see that I'm actually in San Francisco, huh?
Yeah, that's why I asked you where you are.
No, I'm in San Francisco. I'm just dreaming that I'm in San Francisco. So now we're not supposed to use PowerPoint.
See, as of now, no, because I think that the facility has not been enabled. So I'm sure you can talk without that, right?
Well, I've got a PowerPoint ready if I need to, but I will just do it with some notes. But you see, I'm all rugged up. I'm actually recovering from, I think I had another bout of pneumonia. I had, I know I had pneumonia a couple of years ago, and my lungs the last couple of weeks have been killing me, but it's not, you know what?
You don't even want to say that. No, I'm sure, I hope you're better now.
I'll be okay, but they were really sore a couple of weeks ago. So that's why I'm rugged up in bed. Look, I've even got my teddy, and I'm so I'm in bed with hot water bottles and a blanket and my teddy. Yes.
But Sydney is a nice but warm place, so I'm sure you must be enjoying it there.
Darling, it's middle of winter here.
Oh, it's winter now. Oh, okay.
Yes, it's middle of winter, so it's as cold as. And normally I'm from Hobart, as I say, in Tasmania, which is normally freezing. It's just as cold at the moment. And I'm staying in a little cottage at the back of a friend's house. And it's so cold. And I've got to walk from this cottage. It's all right in the cottage, but then to go to the bathroom or the kitchen, I've got to walk through outside. And so I'm not surprised I got sick.
Yeah, it's actually difficult for somebody like me. Pardon?
Yeah, sorry? Difficult for what?
Difficult to relate to that kind of a climate because I'm based in Bangalore and we have like pleasant 22, 23 degrees centigrade throughout the year probably. Summers it goes up a little, winters it never goes beyond 14 or 15. So it's like very pleasant. So somebody says it is freezing cold outside and I can't feel my nose, I can't feel my fingers. It's difficult for me to relate to that.
Of course, it's hard to imagine. But you know what? I think I've decided now after this winter, I've had enough of cold and I'm going to move up north. I'm going to move probably to, Queensland or something like that. I'm getting old now. I don't need to be in this cold.
Oh, come on. Age is there in your mind. You think that you're young.
I'm only But you know what I'm going to do? My mission is to build these tiny houses for people, for seniors, and we're going to have community gardens because I'm a mad keen gardener. I used to have an organic farm. And so that's my dream, to have all of this. But we have it a bit warmer so we can sit outside and, share community.
But I went through your CV. You are one iconic woman who wears so many hats. It's like impossible to think that one person could achieve so much. It's really.
I think I'm a cat. I've come back from my life.
With 9 lives.
It's funny. I've got to tell you a funny story about when I was in India, and this lady read my palm, and she said, "You're on your 637th incarnation," and I said, "No wonder." And I said, "No wonder I'm so exhausted." Anyway, so I said, "You'd think I would have got the lesson by now, wouldn't you? 637 times."
So maybe you have finished learning, but it's time for you to teach others. And that's what I'm seeing you're doing. You're doing an excellent job in that.
But I really want to. My real passion is, I came up with a figure of, it's to teach people about crypto, particularly women. And I've got in the PowerPoint, which I'd love to be able to send people if we're able to.
I would definitely
There's an
be
article
interested.
about, good, because there's an article in there about women in India. And of course, you see, this time last November, when I gave a presentation on crypto for WEF in London, crypto was banned in India at the time.
Yes.
And it's now, although there were people doing it, but it's now the women who are showing the way. But do you realize that in India, there's 170 million unbankables, which means people who do not have a bank account. And
that has changed a lot in the last 5 years. Today, we have more than 1.5 billion.
This is an article that was written in 2019. 100. Now, some of them have got bank accounts, but they just don't use them. So because they're too far from a bank or this or that. So, but if you've got a smartphone, you can do crypto.
Yeah.
As long as you've got a smartphone and access to the internet.
Yeah, I think now, see this, with all the pandemic and all the lockdowns, now people are forced to use their smartphones, find newer ways of doing business without stepping out of their houses. So that has actually pushed people into digital economy. So now I think the crypto will make more sense and people will start adopting it. That's my understanding.
Yep. Well, it's amazing. It's changed my life. It's totally changed my life. And because I had a really rough thing, I did a property development and it collapsed with the GFC. So I had, even after I sold 3 properties, I had $500,000 worth of debt. And but I refused to go. $500,000 Australian worth of debt. It's a lot in rupee.
Okay. I can understand.
But I was determined not to go bankrupt. So I found a way out of it. I found a way to pay back all my people, and crypto's really helped me to be able to do that. And I will have paid back. It's the end of this month that I will have paid back every single cent of that $500,000.
And unfortunately, all the lockdown changed everything.
No, well, I'm very blessed because I refused to go bankrupt. That was taking the easy way out, you see. And so now, because of that, it was such a blessing because it's taught me about crypto. It's taught me about this and that and the other. And I've had to find other ways. And so I'm very blessed, very blessed.
Yesterday only I downloaded your book, which you have written about crypto for mothers, working mothers like you.
Did you? Because I hope you didn't pay for it.
I know it's available on Kindle Unlimited.
Oh, good. Because that's great. Because I was going to give it free to everybody today. Because on Amazon it's like $9.99.
Okay. So I downloaded the free version in Kindle Unlimited, and I'm looking forward to reading it because I do come from the IT industry. But
you keep in touch because I'll help you. I'll guide you. I'm going to be putting together a course to step-by-step mothers through this. I've just been a bit busy doing a lot of other study at the moment. I've been learning some new coaching, a new kind of coaching to work with the superconscious. So I've been pretty busy. But in the next, say, 2 months, I will have put together a course where I can step people through just the basics, how to set up a wallet, how to do all of this stuff, and just
I definitely look forward to it because see, I come from the IT industry. I was working as a software professional for close to 20 years, and my last stint was with HP as a new business initiative head for US and Europe. But it's been nearly a decade since I stopped working, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. And currently, I'm working in renewable energy sector. I convert organic waste into bio-CNG. So
the renewable energy sector. I mean, that's when I normally introduce myself, I say there's Micro Maggie and Macro Maggie. So Micro Maggie is this work that I do here. And Macro Maggie is the work that I do with a company called GCC. And one of our projects is that we get waste from waste dumps and we make power from that.
What is the technology you're using?
Pyrolysis.
Oh, you're doing it with pyrolysis. Okay.
Yes. So, but it's a bit more complicated than that, but it's easier to just say it in one word. So it's pyrolysis. But we're also using the power on site to mine crypto.
Oh, okay.
So there's many ways to skin a cat.
Yes.
So I wonder where my other lady is then.
I don't know what has happened. Probably we'll just start with you. Already there. Take us through your journey, where you started, and how did you land up where you are today?
Okay, so you want me to start it as if I'm doing the presentation now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. Well, hello everybody. My name is Maggie Webber, and before I start, I'd like to have a bit of a disclaimer to keep the lawyers happy that I'm not a financial consultant, and so I'm not giving any advice. All I'm doing is sharing my journey with how I've got into crypto. And how I just love blockchain and cryptocurrency so much because, well, Bitcoin is actually called the people's coin, and it's so fair. It's so fair, and this really appeals to my heart and my sense of equanimity and equality and everything like this. So this is why I love blockchain and cryptocurrency so much. So a little bit about my journey, how I got into it. Well, I had a challenge. When the GFC hit, I was doing a property development, and I was doing very, very well until we got held up on just one little bit to do with the property development. And then that meant that we waited another 18 months, by which stage of the GFC hit. I couldn't finance the property. The value of the land, even with the development application on it, was less than what I paid, but I still had to pay all the engineers and the architects, and I refused to go bankrupt. And so I decided I had to find a way to pay this $500,000 back. And crypto has really helped me in my journey to do that. Now, my first exploration into crypto was a scam, and I lost $10,000 on
That's
that.
essentially what I wanted to ask you, because every time we talk about crypto, so you see, what I got scammed. So I'm a little worried. Like, how do I know that I'm going to get it?
Yeah. Absolutely right. And so I'm really grateful, because I put my money into it for 3 months, and then I had my 3 months was up, and then the lady who had introduced me to it, she said reinvest it. So I had $10,000 US in there, plus 1 Bitcoin I had made. Oh. And 2 days later, I reinvested it, and 2 days later, it went belly up, but it was a scam. So that means that I've got my antenna up. I know what to look for. There's also websites that you can go to now, because back in 2017, when I got involved, there were people doing ICOs, which stands for initial coin offerings, all over the shop, and people were just throwing money at them. And so I'm really glad for the experience of losing that money in that scam, because it's made me learn what to look for, learn, what do they call it? The traps for young players. And so that's what I write about in my book. And I know, I can guide people as to ways to avoid these traps. I'm not saying that you will avoid all of them, because look at what happened on Twitter the other day. With that business there, but Twitter's going to get sued for that. And I noticed that what's his name was Nosky, from one of the founders of Microsoft. He's actually going to be suing YouTube because of YouTube allowing these scammers to do these stories on YouTube. So the people are out there now looking for these scammers, and but anyway, that's the downside of crypto. I want to talk about the upside. And I'd like to talk with you. First, I want to explain what blockchain is very quickly. And then I want to explain about what cryptocurrency is. And then I'm going to give you some really interesting statistics and figures, because it's fun. So, and I'm summarizing a 64-page book now in 13 minutes. Okay. So let's go. So blockchain, the simplest way to describe a blockchain is that it's a decentralized ledger. And it's made up of blocks of data. And the first block that was ever created was created on the Bitcoin blockchain. And it was created on the 3rd of January, 2009. And it was created by someone called Satoshi Nakamoto. And we still to this day don't know whether Satoshi Nakamoto is a he or a she or a group of people. So we'll just call Satoshi a he for now, because it'll make it. We'll say they. All right, that covers all manner of things. All right, so Genesis block was created on that date, the 3rd of January 2009, and the interesting thing was that in that block of data of all those transactions, there was a little clue that said, a little hint that was preserved for posterity, which said the Chancellor is on the brink of the second bailout for banks. So in other words, people were coming in to bail out the banks yet again. Lehman Brothers had failed 4 months before on September the 15th, 2008. And these are these banks that are too big to fail. You're right. So what happens is governments come in and they save these people. But if I have time, I'm going to talk to you, and they're called bailouts. But if I have time, I'm going to talk to you about bail-ins, because they are really scary, and they are what is going to be happening more and more now with the economy. In fact, let me explain to you right now what a bail-in is.
I think you should, because we have time, and you're the only speaker today. So
excellent. Well,
I'm happy.
Bailout is where people come and they actually save, like General Motors Holden, or not General Motors in the States, or these companies that really should fail because they're not being managed properly, and the governments come in and they save them, right? And they save these banks. Excuse me while I'm just rugging up a little bit here, a bit cold. So they come in and they save them. But now the law has changed. And the law has changed in such a way that we can now have things called bail-ins. And what a bail-in is where someone depositing their money in the bank, they are called an unsecured creditor. Yeah. So if a bank gets in difficulty, the bank can come and take a portion of what money's in the bank. Now, we have a limit in Australia, but this happened in Cyprus. And this is why I'd like you to see my PowerPoint if anyone's interested in this, because I've got slides and all of this.
So it's already. If you're able to do it, I'm not sure. If you're able to show your screen, I have no problem.
I would love to. Oh, well, nah, don't worry about it. I'll send it.
Okay.
Well, I'll try, but.
Yeah, I definitely would like to say, yeah.
No, otherwise it's going to ruin my flow.
Fair enough.
So anyway,
sorry, I didn't.
That's okay. That's okay. So anyway, so the bail-ins it's already happened in Cyprus, and they came and they took. We had a client who had something like 200 million euros in the bank in Cyprus, and they came and they took 93% of his money.
Oh my
in
God.
Cyprus.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So with what's going on at the moment, particularly with all this money that's being printed, which is devaluing dollars and rupees, yes. And I don't know if printing it in India, they are in Australia, billions, and they are in the States. This is devaluing the value of this fiat currency, and these banks are shaky. There's banks like Deutsche Bank's in trouble, so many of them. Anyway, so that's what a bail-in is. So I would no more have any money, or except very little in the bank, than fly to the moon.
Yeah.
It's safer under your bed. Yeah. Okay, so back to this Genesis block, 3rd of January. So Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for the banks, that are too big to fail. Now, one of the reasons that Satoshi Nakamoto put that in that first Genesis block was, one, it was a timestamp, which all blocks are. They've got like dated and timed. And also it was a way of putting in this derisive comment about, the global instability that's caused by what's called fractional reserve banking. And I got to tell you, last year when I was in London, I was involved with, I belong to a group, they're called Women in Blockchain, and in London, and I went to this amazing fintech conference, and I met people on the board of Santander Bank and Bank of England and Bank of Scotland and all these big people. And I'm just looking at them, and I'm looking at these big buildings. These cost money. Yes. This is our money that's being used for all of it. And I just look at just how much is wasted. Anyway, so at the very core of blockchain, at the very heart of blockchain, is the concept of decentralization. And what Satoshi Nakamoto wanted was that there was no control given to one single entity, be it a government or be it a bank. So that because these people can pull the strings and they can manipulate markets, and they take away, which is what's happening at the moment. I mean, just look at it, that these printing presses going. And so this is why it's called, Bitcoin's called the people's coin, because he didn't want the freedom to be taken away from people and their choices about what to do with their money. So, and the other thing about a blockchain, which I won't go into now, is that it takes away a problem of something called double spending, which is where you can actually, money can sort of be used twice, but won't go into that really at the moment. So what are the top benefits? This is what I really want to get to. The top benefits of blockchain. Firstly, there's the security. So because the blockchain for Bitcoin, and there's blockchains for everything. There's blockchains for agriculture, for fishing, for supply chains, for so many, for voting.
Yeah, and even in renewable energy, they're using it, I know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things about a blockchain is that these, the Bitcoin one anyway, is that it's connected by hundreds and thousands of computers. And there's special kinds of computers, mind you, not just, like a laptop. And each of these computer helps in the monitoring and the verifying, and therefore adding a block. So on the Bitcoin blockchain, a block is added almost every 10 minutes. Which is actually really slow now compared to some of the other blockchains behind some of the other cryptocurrencies. But I'll get into that in a minute. But when it first came out, 11 years ago, it was fast. And it's still fast compared to traditional banking. So the whole idea, therefore, is with all these checks and balances of these hundreds and thousands of computers checking each other, is that it prevents any one entity from changing any records. So there can be no fraud. The other thing about absolute transparency. Yeah. Absolute transparency, which we need, for goodness sake.
We never had it in the traditional banking system.
Never had it.
Because as a customer, you have absolutely no clue what the bank is doing with your money and whether you will even get it back once you have deposited it there.
Yeah. I have a lovely Indian friend who does podcasts, and I mean, just her money's just been taken by the bank. I don't know if it's been a bailout, but she's just had her money. Anyway, I won't go into that now. Such a lovely lady. Anyway, so open source. So therefore, every transaction can be seen, although your identity is disguised. Because your identity is disguised by having two things. One's called a private key, which you never divulge to anybody, and you have your public keys. So it's a combination of numbers and letters. And I think it's 24 in each. It depends on what blockchain you're doing. So this is what happens. And so what happens is your identity is disguised by what are called hash functions. At the beginning of each block, there's this hash function, and this changes after every transaction. So therefore, this security is giving you complete transparency, and the whole blockchain is built on this foundation of interdependence, not independence, but interdependence. Everybody working together and on the foundation of freedom. So there's zero chance of fraud and or any record tampering. No one can change records. You can't have someone up in the office on a Friday night changing records and taking money.
That's fantastic.
The other thing that is fantastic about it, and I want to give you a personal example that happened with me this week. There's no exorbitant monetary charges that are going to the middlemen because it's peer-to-peer. So if I send you Bitcoin, straight you to me. No one in the middle making money.
Oh, very good.
Now, the wonderful thing about that is the other day I had just over a Bitcoin, and I converted it into 10,000 US. Do you know how much that cost me? 70 cents.
That's all?
70 cents.
Oh my God.
And that's how much it costs to transfer it and then put that into an investment that I'm involved with. And it all happened in less than 10 minutes.
Oh.
And that money was going overseas.
Oh,
You
so
try doing that on.
So you can be sitting in any part of the world and sending it to any part of the world, or no, and everything is transparent, everything is safe, and with the least transaction cost.
It's a godsend.
Yes, what more can anybody ask? Yeah.
I mean, people go on about, oh, but Bitcoin is so bad. People use it for arms dealing, and they use it for drugs, and use it for what's his name? That bloke from down in South America, I've forgotten his name. His family, the big drug cocaine guy, who was involved with George Bush, they say. George Bush Senior, allegedly. So he, if I could tell you how much gets laundered through an ATM, how much fiat currency gets laundered through a casino. And the fact of the matter is that criminals do not really like crypto because it's transparent, because it can be traced. It's all on the blockchain. So they actually don't like it that much. I know there was all that business with Silk Road and drugs and things like that, but it's not as everything is traceable. And this whole business with Twitter and everything else, they'll track those people down, and they're already onto them. So no exorbitant monetary charges to middlemen. So it's low overall cost and high efficiency of transfer. But the other thing that I love so much is that it is bringing the opportunity for investment and financial security, particularly to women, in countries where there are what we call unbankables. The 170, and I put this in the PowerPoint production. I've got a link to a story which was from 2019, some research that was done by two people in America, one of them an Indian, about 170 million unbankables in India, and India's second only after China.
Yeah.
For people not having a bank account. All right. So now some important dates. I find this is hilarious. So the first date was October the 31st, 2008, when the first paper was published, and it was called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And that was written by this Satoshi Nakamoto, or there's a big fight at the moment with his foundation and a chap called Craig White, an Australian, Craig Wright, an Australian chap who's claiming he's now Satoshi Nakamoto. But so there's all in the courts at the moment. Then January the 3rd, 2009, the Genesis block was created. And now the reward for that was 50 Bitcoin. Oh. Now that money still has not been cashed in to this day. That Bitcoin has not been cashed in to this day. But now I want you to remember that, because that was in the days when a Bitcoin was worth 5 cents. So he got 50 Bitcoin for creating that first block. Then May the 22nd, this is so funny, May the 22nd, 2010, was the first Bitcoin purchase. And a chap called Laszlo Hanyecz, I think that's how you say his name, he bought, I shouldn't laugh, he bought 2 Papa John's pizzas.
Oh, okay.
With 10,000 Bitcoin.
Oh my God.
Because they were worth 5 cents back then. I worked it out today that at the rate of Bitcoin, what it's worth to today's prices, because it's gone up by about 3.5%, or actually about 4% today, Bitcoin. He paid $95,836,600 for 2 pizzas.
Oh my God. Where were you before, Maggie? When I would have invested in this long before. Where were you?
They was expensive pizzas. Anyway, then December the 17th, 2019, that was another very important date. That's the highest price Bitcoin has been to so far. And that was US $19,783. And I remember when it went up that high, and I'm going, rubbing my hands. But it's come down a bit since then, but it's on what's called a bull run now. It started in the last couple of weeks, it started its bull run.
Okay.
So, and the next important date that I think is 2140. And that's the date that the last Bitcoin will be mined. And that is because the limit to Bitcoin is 21 million Bitcoin. And there's already about nearly 18 million of them mined. So can you see, as people get more and more into Bitcoin, the value, it's all supply and demand. The value of them has got to skyrocket as we have less and less opportunity to be able to buy them. Yep. And that's why we were
early will probably be.
I'm sorry?
Those who enter early will probably make a windfall.
Well, I got my first Bitcoin. I invest $250 a week.
Oh, okay.
Into some kind of crypto, because it's called dollar cost averaging. So I don't, sometimes I buy Bitcoin, sometimes I buy one of what are called the altcoins, which means alternative coins. And so I just average it out so that, I go with the swings and the roundabouts. And I just know that with what is happening, some of them you make up to 400% on.
This is way better than the stock market.
Hello.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, exactly right. And so all these people are worried about it, but there's some pitfalls. You've just got to be aware of them. So now I'm going to tell you what crypto is. I've got another 10 minutes here. So cryptocurrency, Bitcoin was the first that was mined. And so we call that the mothership. And what tends to happen on the market is that whatever Bitcoin does, the others tend to do. So like you've got Ethereum, the main ones are Ethereum, Monero, Litecoin, whatever. But when I gave the presentation in London last year in November, there were about 3,500 altcoins, which stands for alternative coins. Today, I checked on CoinMarketCap, there's 5,784 altcoins.
Oh, okay.
So that's other things that you can invest in. Now, I usually invest in, say, the top 30. And only because I study it really, really hard. I'm studying with some guys in the States who are the best. They run a podcast on crypto. We've just this weekend, we've had 35 hedge fund managers speaking to us about, because, you go where the smart money's going. And some of the smart money in these hedge funds is going into crypto. So it's nothing to be scared of, really nothing to be scared of. So anyway, so at today's date, we've got 5,784 altcoins. And you can guarantee tomorrow that'll be 5,785. So it's not physical money. It exists online. You can't feel and touch it. But with what's happening with coronavirus, people aren't wanting to touch money anyway these days. And quite frankly, the money in your bank is a series of zeros and ones anyway, because it's online anyway.
Yes.
So, and people think that just because it's got a certain value that we all accept that it's, well, we're seeing that that's not the case at the moment anyway. Now, the other thing about it is it's not issued yet. I say that reservedly because China's really going for trying to create one, but it's not issued yet by a bank or a government. Japan's trying to create its own coin. Chinese government's trying to, and we really hope that it never does, because this defeats the whole purpose of decentralization.
Yes. The moment the government comes in, then it will not be transparent, and you can't trade as freely as you're doing today.
Well, exactly right. But it also means it's not the people's coin anymore.
Yeah.
And this is why Facebook, when it tried to bring out Libra coin last year, there was such a kickback because it was too much control. And Facebook's got, a third of the world's population on Facebook, it would be way too much control for one single entity. So people trust Bitcoin and crypto. And for people to trust it as well as, people who understand it do, there needed to be checks and balances, and to make sure that it's as secure, and I say this reservedly, as secure as a national or fiat currency, which are hardly secure right now. So this is where the miners come in. And what are miners? So miners they're kind of like the auditors. They're the ones who check the letter number combination of each transaction, and they use very complex mathematics on very specialized computers to do it. They're called algorithms. And once the right combination is found and it's verified by all these other computers around the world, which proves that the transaction is right, this creates what's called a timestamp. And once it's all confirmed, a new block is created. And one block is created every 10 minutes or so. Oh, okay. Other cryptocurrencies, other blockchains, I won't get into them now, are much faster than the blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain. But whatever happens, Bitcoin's the mothership. Well, it is for now, according to what's called CoinMarketCap, how much is on the market at the moment. So this is how a miner gets paid. They get paid by creating these blocks, and it's a real competition. And yet once one gets the number, then the others all support them and verify, because they all have an opportunity to win the match. And so this is how they get paid. And so you can understand, if you're going to get 50 Bitcoin for creating the first block, that was, but wasn't that much because they're only worth 50 cents. But now each Bitcoin is worth, what's today's rate? $9,583 US, or 760 at today's date, which is 7,492 Great British pounds, or 13,488 Australian, say over Forbes today. So there's got to be an incentive for these miners, and so that there's no need for a government or a bank to intervene. But what happens is, every so often there's what's called a halving. And we had one in May this year. And usually what happens when there's a halving, because there's less being created, the value goes up. And we were really surprised to see that it didn't go up by much, but we were right in the middle of COVID and the stock market crashed. It's actually held its value very well compared to the stock market, but it's now starting its bull run. And remember that there's only ever going to be 21 million of them made. So as more people are jumping on board because of COVID and everything else, there's going to be much more, the value is going to go up because there's going to be
definitely
so much more demand.
Because now the pandemic has created so much of uncertainty. So many organizations are going belly up. So there is a uncertainty in everybody's mind. So if I put my hard-earned money into the bank, how sure am I that it's going to come back to me? And then then you have restrictions that I can't go out of my house. The banks are not working, the ATMs are not working. Then what do? I have money, but I can't spend it.
There's so many ways to spend, Bitcoin now online. And I just don't. I get paid in money from the consulting work that I do, but for my coaching work now, I'm going to ask people to pay me in Bitcoin or Ethereum. Ethereum's not
okay. Yeah, I see that you're doing a lot of coaching also. So what kind of a coaching do you do?
Oh, well, I love coaching, working mothers and helping them to start their own businesses, and often if they're at home, so that they can still be there for their children if needs, because I find too many, well, this is personal opinion, how hard it is for mothers, they've got to go and work, and then they have to have their children brought up in childcare and all the rest. So that's why with my two children, I did a lot from home. I did a lot of network marketing and things like that, and coaching and consulting from home, so I could be there for my children. And they were both very, very active, my kids, and great athletes. both played 3 sports each, and then, you know, did drama and singing and this, that thing.
That's
And I wanted to
awesome.
be there for every minute of it. So my weekends were just taken up with my children. But my daughter will say that I was a workaholic and I work really hard, but at least I was
Talking to you, who can say that a woman cannot have it all? Who said that, you have to choose between a career or your personal life? You seem to be
Well, that
doing
was my first
excellently.
best-selling book. It's very interesting you say that, because my first Amazon bestseller was called A Working Mother's Guide to a Guilt-Free Career.
Because I'm a coach too. I mentor, I work with a UN organization called Private Financing Advisory Network, and I mentor entrepreneurs in clean energy and energy efficiency business and help them to get
that's
funding.
fantastic.
So I understand what it.
Sorry, interrupt. The new kind of coaching I'm getting into now is really cool, because 95% of what we do is run by our subconscious. So I'm getting into working with sort of reprogramming that, but working with what's called the superconscious. Now, my main mentor, Deepak Chopra, he calls that the field of infinite possibilities. Some people might call it Akashic record. So it's really to get into tapping into that. It's really cool. Yeah,
I'll be cool. I would like to be your mentee for this new coaching, if you would be interested in taking me.
Absolutely, I would. But I need about another 4 weeks till I finish my course.
Okay, no problem. I'll keep in touch with you.
We've got a minute.
Talking to you, Maggie.
Thank you. We've got a minute till your next person starts. So it's been delightful. Thank you so much.
Yes, yeah.
I do hope I get a
Yeah, I definitely want to go through your book, and I'll keep in touch with you. From the organizers, I'll take your email ID. I'll keep in touch with you and see how we can work together, because I remember seeing you have some green energy or a green box or something you have been mentioning. So I'd like to know more about that too. But my host is telling me the time is up and I need to close the session.
Please, if anyone wants these PowerPoint slides, Maggie@MaggieWeber.com. Maggie@MaggieWeber.com. Happy to send you that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's wonderful. And on behalf of WEF, we would like to confer an award on you as the iconic woman creating a better world for all.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Thanks a lot.